The sun is starting to set on Dragon Age the Veilguard, and there's been some good times. I mean, there's plenty of memes, there's comedy, people are sharing around scenes from the game, which kind of expose it as being the 2024 version of Oblivion. And that's not throwing shade on Elder Scrolls Oblivion, that came out 20 years ago, but we're getting the same facial animations, the same sort of voice acting delivery, with a healthy dose of propaganda on top of it. It's not even a divisive game, which is what some people have tried to say, where it's like, oh no, it's the culture warriors who don't like it, the rest of us are loving it. That's not even true. If you go through like the Steam reviews, you can't find anyone who's actually praising it. They just say, I'll give it a thumbs up. It's like maybe a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It doesn't really do anything well, but hey, it's a way to pass the time. That's really it. Like normal people, regular gamers, they're not liking this. It's a very forgettable game. People are ready simply to move on, and once the laughter evaporates, people won't talk about this again. It is the most forgettable game, and you don't just have to take my word for it, because BioWare have basically said this themselves. They came out barely a few days since the game is released, and they've said, BioWare has no plans for the Veilguard DLC, as it turns its attention to Mass Effect 5. So BioWare kind of saying, hey, we put up our hand, we know we've released a stinker, we know no one is really impressed, but we're going to move on. On to Mass Effect, we promise, just give us a 5th chance, a 6th chance, we'll get this one right. I don't even need to go into the argument of, will they wreck this one or not? I've got a crystal ball. They're going to fuck this one up as well, I promise, I swear to you. Now again, most people have moved on. Normal gamers, they don't care about this. It really is just a very average bargain bin tier game. The only people left defending it, it's the activists. The people who were convinced that this was gonna own the chuds. This game can't possibly fail because I've made my entire identity politics and everyone's gonna think like me. It's basically those people left, and I doubt they've even bought the game. They just like talking about it because, oh, it pushes their real-life worldviews forward. Non-binary stuff coming out to mum. That's what these people care about. They don't care about anything to do with the mechanics of the game, the mediocre combat choices, all of that sort of crap. But before I talk about some of those people, the activists that are left, I do also just want to point out the reviews, because that review psyop, it was unbelievably pathetic, more so than normal, given the user reviews and how average the game actually looks now. Calling it like Game of the Year contender. If these people had any credibility left, the best thing that could come out of this release is that they lose it completely, and finally these outlets got shut down. But it's quite funny because, again, the pre-release, the people who got copies, these journalists, whatever you want to call them, pronouns in their bio, non-binary, one or the other, or both. They were the only people who got it. BioWare were very careful about who they gave review keys out to, but now that the game's out, anyone can review it. And it's quite funny that the outlets who are reviewing it now, who weren't in the club, didn't get a copy, they're actually giving much more scathing reviews and scores. So we look here, for instance, N4G, they give the game a 7 out of 10. And I'm doing the best first, it only gets worse from here. You've got Noob Feed, they gave the Veilguard a 45 out of 100, 4.5 out of 10. And they describe it as having shallow writing, combat. This is hard to recommend to Dragon Age fans. Funny how we didn't see many of these sorts of reviews before release, how interesting. You've got here, 60 out of 100, terrible pacing, level structure, lack of enemies, not good. 5 out of 10 here, this is more like it. Treats its players like emotionally unstable toddlers, bad level design, banal storytelling littered with disjointed emotions. This is the truth that BioWare was trying to hide, and now everyone can see it. Everyone's speaking their mind, and the only people who are upset at this point, again, it's the activists. We come to Reset Era, which is the activist forum, and you get people like this saying, the user reviews on Steam have surprised me. I expected them to go up with time, as there was review bombing during the game's release, but they are going down now. I don't even think that is really true. Like, on Steam, the only people who bought it at release is obviously people willing to pay full price. Now, there might be a few people willing to pay $60 and immediately give it a thumbs down, but most people who bought it wanted to like it. They wanted to praise it. In fact, I saw mostly positive reviews. This person has totally deluded themselves. What's actually happened is there were some positive reviews at the start for people who just wanted to praise it, because I've been waiting 10 years for Dragon Age. But now, as the dust settles and people sort of let it sink in, now they're giving negative reviews. The score on Steam, the user review score, it's slipping further. Maybe it goes down to mixed, and we have yet another Starfield. Yet another fail from a mainstream RPG developer. And this person, I don't want to insult them, they're not really an activist. It gets much worse. We have this person, this exchange. So someone got really upset about the Skill Up review that mentions and describes the writing as being like HR is in the room. And we all know what that kind of means. Anyone who's had a job really knows what Skill Up is talking about. These people can't fathom it, probably because these people are all HR managers, so they can't see the funny side. But the exchange reads, someone here says, I'll be honest, I've never heard written with HR in the room used to describe any form of media that wasn't deeply embroiled in culture war bullshit. So it's a difficult critique to take seriously in good faith. Absolutely. Also, HR is never in the room, or any room, which makes the whole thing even sillier. HR doesn't care. HR is off trying to avoid being HR. Okay, I was joking about these people actually being HR managers, but I read that and now I'm convinced this person is a HR manager. And it's like, you don't actually have an argument to defend the dialogue. So it's like, no, HR weren't actually in the room. They weren't really in the room. So Skill Up is wrong. He's a grifter. He's a phony. He's a fake. He doesn't even know what he was talking about. We all know what HR in the room means. Anyone who's had an office job, we've all had that feeling, that moment, where it's like you have an exchange around with your colleagues, and you maybe have an opinion, or you have a joke, and you're about to say it, but then you stop yourself, because you think, you know what, if I act like a human, it's going to be held against me, and it's not going to go too well, I'm going to get reported probably, and it's going to be problems. That's what Skill Up is talking about. The dialogue feeling safe, phony, and it's always like you can interchange the dialogue with every single character on the cast, and you wouldn't really know the difference. None of these people are distinct, except the non-binary one, because that's all they talk about 24/7. You know who they are, but all the others, it's all the same, just super safe. And this continues. Someone says, just a profoundly irresponsible way to suggest the writing isn't what you wanted it to be, because they weren't allowed to do it. What? Can't it be that the writers just didn't write it to your tastes? Nah, there's an agenda preventing it from HR. Yes, it really is irresponsible. No, they weren't held hostage by HR or a consulting firm. That's not how it works. All right, I said they're HR managers. Now I think they're just mentally challenged. Like, what is going on here? One line about the dialogue just being fake and phony, and it's all, no, they're not, HR didn't prevent this, HR didn't do that. You're not meant to take it literally. Jesus. And there's not just a couple of people who think this. It seems to be the activists have decided that anyone who says HR in the room style writing, that's apparently a right-wing dog whistle now. So if you mention that, you're a chud. As we can see here, this person says, the thing is that you can definitely describe the issues you find with the writing without using the HR buzzword. Especially when chuds use the same wording to complain about pronouns being in the game. You could say that the writing is toothless, a bit too friendly, a bit too safe, not very challenging, not very shocking. There are ways to express the sentiment without using the same language as go woke, go broke morons. Let's be completely honest, if you took out HR is in the room from Skill Up's review, do you think these people would say, oh, it's totally fair, it's totally fine, no, we accept it? I think we know the answer. The truth is, this whole ideology, these people, they just want to control what you say. So they're always going to find something where it's like, oh no, the way that you're describing this, you're a chud, this is proof that you're down the right-wing rabbit hole or something. No, you need to think like us. They just want to twist it and get you into a place where you can't criticize anything, basically. That's all they really care about. And the thing is, if you actually listen to these people and you said, all right, I'll write a review, and I'm just going to mention that the writing is toothless and friendly. I won't use any of the dog whistles, as you put it. Then suddenly they'll start interrogating you about the other words that you use. So, oh, you called the writing toothless. What do you mean by that? Is that something to do with the pronouns or the non-binary? We need to get to the bottom of this. And then all of a sudden your criticism, it's unwarranted and you're a this and you're a that. That's how they work. They won't allow you to criticize the game without calling you names and putting you in some sort of category. They're losing their minds over this, and really what these people can't handle, and what they're really afraid of, is everyone coming to terms with the fact that it's not just the writing that's bad, it's the very fact that the personnel at BioWare, the people on the team, they are the problem. They didn't just have a few bad days at work and they did a bad job because they were feeling a bit off. No, these people fundamentally are talentless hacks who only got the job because you know and we know that they are only employed at BioWare because they fit a certain ideology. They're part of the echo chamber. They're part of the cult. They agree to go along with the right things, say the right things, which again is where this HR is in the room comes from, because that's what the VEILGUARD team basically is. It's a whole team of like 1,000 HR managers who put together this product, and that's what you get. It is like a HR simulator, people and culture simulator. That's where we've ended up. And so these people try and police your language because otherwise people are going to come to this conclusion that this team is awful, that you can't have a team that is built on checkboxes, DEI. You need diversity of thought, people with real ideas, opinions, genuine creatives, not activists like you. And this is another example of that. You have someone who says, reviews are by their very definition subjective. There is no such thing as objectively good writing either. That's utter nonsense and anti-art. So this is sort of where these people are at, where now that the reviews are starting to become overwhelmingly negative, they're starting to outweigh all of these shill positive ones from the pronouns in their bio people. Now it's, oh, reviews don't matter. Apparently they did when the pre-reviews came out, pre-release reviews came out, and they were positive. Oh, you've got to buy it now. Look what the people whose opinions apparently matter at IGN is saying. You must purchase this game. Now they're changing their tune. Oh, reviews are subjective. Now, I'll be honest, I completely agree with that statement. If we read this on its own, yes, I agree that reviews don't really matter. Plenty of games that have gotten bad reviews that I've enjoyed. Plenty of games that have gotten good reviews that don't seem to be all that good. The problem I have is someone like this is a liar. They claim that anyone criticizing entertainment and saying that they're objective, that doing so is anti-art. But I guarantee you, if the tables were turned, this idiot would completely change their mind on this and be a total hypocrite. Because how many times does a comedian tell a joke? And that is art. A comedian, it is art. They tell a joke, lots of people find it funny, but you get some loser like this who'll jump in and say, no, you've offended people with that statement. That's not funny. Objectively, that's not funny in the slightest. You need to apologize, and you should be banned. I'm going to call up all the venues that you're playing at and demand that you get taken off the ticket. This happens regularly, and sadly you get some comedians who apologize. And then we come back to video games. You do all the same things. Stellar Blade. The people behind it, they've got a vision. Hey, we just want to make an entertaining game, and we're going to put this female cast together. And then, oh no, you can't do that. You're going to offend, well, we think that you're offending women. We don't know any women, but we swear we know there's women out there who are definitely going to be offended. And the circus does the rounds like that time and time again. And the truth is, at this point, if you encounter anyone defending the VEILGUARD, you pretty much just know you're dealing with an activist, because people can't really say good things. It's mediocre. BioWare almost acknowledge it. You can see that in their actions leading up to release, hiding a lot of the game. Again, the PSYOP pre-release reviews. So many clues that point towards EA and BioWare knowing that it was going to be a shit show, simply trying to hide it. Now they have moved on. And at this point, if new stuff comes out about the VEILGUARD, I'll talk about it. Maybe genuine Mass Effect 5 stuff, but we're probably a few years away. Knowing BioWare, there'll be development hell, it'll take forever anyway. But hopefully I can take a little bit of a break from talking about this game, because I am starting to lose my mind, and we'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.